part of our of our session. So if you don't mind, we start. Yes. So are we getting the questions now? So since you are asking us questions, I'm asking you a question. Why are we having 4 teddy bears here? To remind you of 4 parents. You get it? 4 bears. 4 parents. So please know that we're not in the league of Ajahn Brahm. Yes, we're just trying to do our best, and please look at the 4 bears and keep the 4 parents in mind. Okay. So I'd just like to introduce myself. My name is Bhikkhuni Nirodha. I'm at the moment at Santi Forest Monastery, which is a monastery which has been offered to Ajahn Brahm many years ago. It's situated between Sydney and Canberra. And so I went there to help out, and I'm still holding the baby. Yes. So for me, it's been very special to come back to my Dharma sisters and ordained sisters at Dhammasara. I came to Dhammasara 2001, yes, and later on ordained, become an Anagarika Samaneri, and then of course the Bhikkhuni ordination. So I'm very pleased and very honored to be back with my fellow Bhikkhunis here. It's Bhikkhuni Gautami, Bhikkhuni Kaunika, and Bhikkhuni Analia. So I'm sometimes a little bit forgetting, Alzheimer's is around the corner, but anyway, I'm doing my best. So this is as far as the introduction goes. So each of us are picking a question and then answering, yeah? And afterwards you can also answer me, or can ask us any questions, yes? I also have a small article, because always people are wanting to know why I become a nun and all the rest. I can deal with it a little bit, but I've been asked to give an interview in Singapore many years ago on a fundraising trip for Dhammasara, and maybe Bianca or somebody can print out a few copies for those who like to read that sort of stuff, yeah? Okay, so here we go. Dear Venerable, how did you hear about Ajahn Brahm and what inspired you to become a nun? Well, so... there's such a thing as cause and effect, yeah? So even if we hear about something or somebody, doesn't necessarily mean that we are connecting, yeah? So as you will read in my article, originally I'm from Austria, as you can hear from my accent, yeah? Came to Australia in the mid-60s and had a relatively good life, yes? I was actually living with a housekeeper in Darling Point and all the rest of it. Of course, I was married, divorced, had another partner. So things were going extremely well for me, yeah? All the hopes of a young teenager were all fulfilled, yes? I had plenty of everything. Twice a year to Europe, skiing in Switzerland, on the Riviera, Monte Carlo, all the rest there, yes? But there came a time when, the Buddha is the awakened one, and even we can go through life with a little bit of open eyes. So I could see rich people and poor people, all of them have problems. All of them have problems. And even though I had plenty, it didn't solve. Underneath I could see there is no end to wanting. I wanted something, I got it. That was not the end of it. I wanted something else. Yeah? So this is how I, so to say, looked at life. Not just blindly continuing, but actually with a little bit of discernment. And then one day I was at a health retreat outside in the Blue Mountains, trying to slim a little bit before I go to Europe and eat all this fantastic food again, yeah? And I still remember I went from my simple room to the reception area, and I had to make a big decision. My decision was whether to play a game of bridge, card game of bridge with some of the eastern suburbs ladies, or whether I play a game of tennis. That was my problem, yeah? So it is like suddenly I walked and suddenly my mind came to a standstill, yeah? These endless, these endless decisions, what to wear, hairdressers, all the rest of it. And my mind became very still. And then suddenly the question arose in my mind. It's not that the Buddha or Jesus, I was of course a Christian girl before I became a Buddhist. It's not that anybody put that question into my mind. No. My mind was in a corner with all this endless, superficial decision making. So the question appeared in my mind, do I want to continue with this shallow, easy way of life, or do I want to look for the truth? And out of desperation I had enough. Out of desperation I was asking, or deep in my mind, I want to look for the truth. And of course I came out of it again. I still had to do, I don't know what I did, play tennis or something. But only much later I understood that the mind is the forerunner. And especially if you make decisions or adhitthans on a deeper samadhi level, it can be very powerful. So my life started to slowly change. And suddenly I realized I heard things which were under my nose, but I didn't care to hear them before. So we all have teachers around us. We need to open ourselves up and listen and learn. Yeah? And then I was living in my own flat in that time, in between changing of partners. And there was a Buddhist there. She was from Holland. And she systematically went through all the major religions. And she said, eliminating them all, she said, Buddhism I can believe 80%. And with that, she went to India to meditate and came back. And of course, we had cups of tea together, and, she, from time to time, she went to India. I was interested in going to Double Bay to do some shopping down there, yeah. So, but then one day she said, look, my teacher from India is coming and I have an open house. Would you like to come and meet him? And I said, yes, thank you. I had no intention to go. But as the karma is, I had engagements at that time, and these engagements were cancelled. So I was bored. What shall I do now? So I went down to see her. So I knocked on the door, and there was Munindraji, the Anagarika in white. He was a main disciple of Mahasi Sayadaw. And she said, this is Elizabeth. And he looked at me and he said, and what do you do? And to me, coming from Europe, that was very too personal for me. What do you do, But because of his mental state, I understood it on a much deeper level. And I looked at him and I said, I'm doing nothing. Meaning I'm doing nothing with my life. I was not a bad person. I was quite generous always. If you needed something, please let me do it for you. You want a lift, please let me do it for you. But there was no real purpose behind it, yeah. So I understood I'm doing nothing with my life. And of course, in those days, the hippies came in, and in the corner there was a woman breastfeeding. That was really too much for me. And then he said, I'm going to give a meditation retreat at Wat Buddha, which is a monastery outside of Sydney. And I heard meditation retreat, and I said, I feel I had to go. After a while, I excused myself because I sort of didn't belong there, yeah. But the next day I said to my neighbor, I said, I'm going to the meditation retreat. And she said, you can't go. You hardly know how to spell the word Buddha. Which was true, just basic education. And because she had studied the Buddha's teaching before she went into meditation. But of course I was in my early 30s. For me, no, didn't exist. If somebody said, no, you can't do it, I would say, I show you. So I went to Wat Buddha Dhamma, And there was Ayya Khema there, a very famous bhikkhuni later on. And also Kantipalo, the early pioneers of Buddhism in Australia. Yeah. And so I heard the Buddha's teaching, and it made such an impact on me. So my first meditation retreat was very powerful, because I would say for the first time in my life, I followed meditation instructions. And so, and here we go, you see. So you also sometimes have to make a decision what you want to do. Otherwise, you be good, you be good, but we have to also know what we are doing, why we are doing it, and where we are going. So of course I wanted to be a nun after the meditation retreat, but it was far too early. It was 79, yes, and I still had commitments. You know, sometimes we have to let go, and sometimes we have to fulfill our commitments. Otherwise, you close the front door, and the whole same thing comes in the back door again. That's what I find in my experience. Yeah. So then, as things then changed, then slowly, I could go into the direction of becoming a nun, because I went, of course, to many meditation centers. I was a retreat hopper, yeah. And I went to Asia, I went to Thailand, Burma, Sri Lanka. I went where I, of course, sitting in the East in a polite posture. That's why I ruined my knee. And then to America, Joseph Goldstein, all the famous, teachers at that time. But there come a point when all that is not enough, but actually the world and what the world had to offer has lost its pull on me. So for me it was a gradual, natural development of desperately wanting to become a monastic, because I didn't fit into society anymore. Playing tennis, playing bridge, going out and going to the Riviera and all that. It was pointless for me, yeah. So I think sometimes people rush into kind of monastic life too early, yeah, and then they're in and out. But you have, I believe, to let it happen in a natural way. In a natural way. And anyway, all of you can already be a semi-monastic at home. Yeah. So there's no excuse, I can't be monastic. The monasticism is inside. The renunciation is inside. So, yeah. So then I came to Perth, and again, I don't want to take up too much time. There's so many questions. I just want to remind you how fortunate you all are to have such wonderful Sangha here, such wonderful Buddhist society here. Over East, where perhaps Buddhist societies existed for much longer, but we don't have a center like you have here. We don't have the caliber of people there. We have in everything, there's many monasteries, many centers all over the place, but there's not the cohesion and the wonderful cooperation and respect for the different ethnic groups, but also for different parts of Buddhism. So sometimes you need to go somewhere else. And as T.S. Eliot say, come back to the beginning and see it for the first time. So I congratulate you all of being here right now, having this wonderful Sangha, having these wonderful facilities here. But also know, just to make use of it, because things change constantly. And we don't know, where do you want to be reborn? Where do you want to be in the future? So I'm urging you on, as I'm urging myself on, to practice more sincerely and find more time. We can all be here and there. There's so many worthwhile things to do, yes? But again and again I can see from established Sangha, the more you develop your mind and your heart, this ultimately is the real gift, what we give to each other. Of course we try to help poor people, do all these charitable things, but ultimately the highest gift is the gift of the Dhamma. The highest gift is the gift of a pure heart, of a noble heart, of a caring heart, compassion and forgiving. Okay, I think that's all for me now, and I pass on to my venerable sisters here to continue. Is there any questions, or is there anything you want to ask very quickly? Okay. The application forms for monks and nuns are also somewhere.
I'm Bhikkhuni Gautami from Dhammasara Monastery in Gijiganam. I've been a nun for 7 years and as a bhikkhuni for 3 years. Can't hear. Oh. Sorry. So I have a family of 4 sons 3 daughters-in-law and 2 grandchildren, a boy and a girl. So I'm not such a young chick anymore. I'm 75 years old. Okay, so the question I have here is, what is the point of walking meditation if we cannot disappear? We can't reach deep meditation in walking state, right? So what is walking meditation for? Thank you. Walking meditation is really very good because you do get into deep states. Because Ajahn Brahm has been saying that when he did walking meditation in Thailand, after walking for quite a long while, focusing his eyes in front of him on the cement floor, and suddenly a part of the floor became like alive, full of different colors, so beautiful. He really felt like cutting it out and putting it in the museum or somewhere. So you see, you can get into deep meditation. Maybe not into jhana, but deep enough for him to see something that is so wonderful. And the next day when he came again and he looked at the floor, it's nothing but an ordinary cement. And also another friend of mine, she does walking meditation. And after some time, because she's focusing down, and she keep her attention on her feet. And then she noticed that her feet has turned into skeleton. So you do get into good states. But the best thing about it is that you can exercise your body. Because if you sit down for a long time, your body becomes stiff, can be quite painful also. So it is time for you to get up and do walking meditation. You can continue your meditation by focusing on your feet. Rather than on your breath, you're focusing on, maybe you can focusing on the soles of your feet. As you walk, you feel the floor. So you go from one meditation to another, and then also it loosens up your body, and after some time you will feel quite comfortable. It's not that it's of no use. It's very good. It's very good, especially for the body. It's a good exercise for you. Okay?
Okay, I'm Bhikkhuni Karunika. I'm also from Dhammasaranan's monastery. And so the question here is, what was the Buddha's standard around women becoming nuns? And then secondly, why did you become a nun? Did you ever have any regrets? How did you know you wanted to become a nun? Okay, so there are a lot of stories or theories or ideas about nuns and bhikkhunis, and also about women becoming nuns even at the time of the Buddha, because there was a delay. And there are many different explanations as well, but I'll just share with you how I perceive it, or my way of thinking about it. You can read about it in many places as well. So if I'm not wrong, I think the Bhikkhuni order was 5 or 6 years, quite a few years after. Could be more, I can't remember, but after the Buddha's attainment. And there is also people believing and saying that, Venerable Ananda had to ask many times and many requests, and the Buddha refused. So people think that the Buddha actually didn't support. But that was actually not the case, because even Ajahn Brahm mentioned this in many of his talks as well, that when the Buddha first became enlightened, at that time, the Mara came, the actual being Mara came and said, now Bhante, you have attained your enlightenment, so now you can pass away. You have achieved what you wanted, no need to continue anymore. So actually this is in the suttas, you can read it for yourself. And then at that time the Buddha mentioned, not so soon Mara, I have attained, but I will not pass away until I establish the sasana by ordaining bhikkhus, bhikkhunis, upasakas and upasikas, the fourfold sangha. So this was at his time of enlightenment. He already had the idea of also having bhikkhunis and female lay supporters. However, if you think about the time, 2,500 years ago, the society in India, the conditions you had for women, because the monks, the Buddha and all the monks at the early stages of Buddhism, they were not well known. So they just stayed in forests under the root of trees. So if you imagine, if you ordained women, and if they were also to stay like that at a very early time, that would be dangerous, because the two genders have obvious, safety issues. The women can get into a lot more trouble than men. So at the early stages, it was not quite safe. So that's why the Buddha actually waited for a while until the Buddhism was known, well supported, and conducive conditions were available. So it took a while, and once the conditions when he thought were right at that time, then his foster mother, because of his own mother, passed away 7 days after he was born. So his foster mother, Mahapajapati Gotami, was the first nun to be ordained, together with a large number of maybe 500 or so of other women. So Buddha, and then had then, if you look at Vinaya and everything, we have really equal respect, equal opportunities. They were treated really well. Another question that very often come about is, why do monks have to go in front, and even the senior nuns have to still go at the back of the most junior monk? Also, if you think about it, we are celibate. So if you try to mix the two genders together when you are walking on arms round, it will not be quite appropriate. As well, at the time in India, and also all the monks were more senior. Most of the monks, they were Buddha and the Arahants. So people would not feel very happy if the nuns were going in front of the Buddha, naturally, because he's the teacher. And also the society was such that the women were actually naturally happy for the men to go in front, because that's how it was, the culture. It was a different culture. So it was just because of that, not any other reason. And either men or women, one of the two would have to go in front. So why not? So it was not any other thing apart from that. So these kind of little stigmas are around monks and nuns and their behaviors and things like that. But if you think about it, the Buddha and as well as Buddhism is a very compassionate religion, as well as it serves everybody in a very equal, in a very equanimous way. So we are all treated in a very nice, beautiful way. And the Buddha's time, they were very well-to-do Arahant bhikkhunis as well as Arahant monks, and also with even psychic powers and everything. So everything is possible for both genders. There's no real distinction in that sense. So anyway, that's a little bit. There's a lot about these things around if you want to search. And then secondly, why did you become a nun? Well, when I first, well, since I was little, I was always quite spiritual. And but the idea of becoming a nun was never in my head, because at that time, like this was many years ago, nuns were not really around. There were only monks. So the idea never came that I would become a nun, but I always was inclined for spirituality. Maybe because of past life, or I don't know what practice, I didn't realize it until quite recently that all my life I was also looking for both sides of an experience. That is, like, whenever there is an experience, normally people focus only on the gratification, the enjoyable part. For whatever reason, I also had, even as a kid, I also had the habit of looking at the danger. I don't know why, or nobody taught me this, but I could see, for example, like even as a child, I could see people getting married, and then I can see, yes, there is happiness in relationship and married life, but I can also see plenty of people having difficulty. I was open to see both sides, so I was contemplating. This is not only fun, it also has one area. And I also see people having children, and children are also really fun and lovable, and there's a nice side. But then I also see people having to go through a lot of difficulty and trouble bringing up children. I don't know, I'm not saying that these things are bad, but I saw none of them was only good and happy and enjoyable. I was also seeing, and I think I was a lot more attached to my freedom. So I wasn't quite prepared to let go of my freedom by being involved in a very strong way, either with family or with relationships. So I was always a little bit aloof and a bit concerned, and rebelled against going how everybody was going. So that was there. And I also remember again, like just few incidences, like going night clubbing for the first time. So I was very excited, as young people are, got ready and with all the anticipation and excitement. But once I was in the nightclub, it was like, this is it. This is dark and loud and people just swaying and mostly drunk. What's fun about this? This was my way. I mean, so I could see, yeah, there was enjoyment in that, but there was also, it's not as great as I thought. So same with taking liquor or having parties. There was the enjoyable side, but I always saw the not so enjoyable side. So that probably always kept me in check, and thankfully a bit safe. So I managed not to get married or have children or get entangled that way somehow. But of course, I probably also had past life good karma. For whatever reason, I have ended up in WA for my higher studies. And I didn't know Ajahn Brahm was here, but the first Sri Lankan family that I met, because for the first month, I never got to speak one word of Sinhalese, and I was so desperate. And then finally I met one family, and then I could speak in Sinhala, and then I was very happy. And then they said, would you like to go with us to the temple to listen to a Dhamma talk? So I went with them, and it happened to be Ajahn Brahm. So it was really nice. Then, of course, I had the opportunity to meet Ajahn Brahm and the Sangha. And that way, slowly, got conditioned. And anyway, I was spiritual. And before coming to here, I remember in Sri Lanka, there was a time after I finished my university degree that I wanted to sort of lead a spiritual life. But at that time, there wasn't even a meditation center where a young girl could stay overnight safely. This was in like early 90s. Now there are, but at that time there wasn't. So it was really frustrating. So I thought there was no point thinking like that, because that wasn't available at that time. So I spoke with one monk, senior monk, and he said, well, go and continue your higher studies, and you will get kalyana mittas when you wherever you go. And he was right. So I met Ajahn Brahm and many other Buddhist people here, and slowly the opportunity was there. But that monk told me, because I actually came here to do my postgraduate studies, he said, when you're doing your studies, just focus on your studies, and after you finish, then maybe think about the spiritual side more. So for whatever reason, I took that advice. So while I was in uni doing all those stuff, I also just did a lot of traveling and all the things that what young people did. But once I completed and started work, then I saw that like I'm also now going to end up being just like one of those professors with old hair, doing the same thing, going to conferences, doing research, doing this and that. I was a research scientist at the university. So it's the same repetition, same thing, and years passed by. So I thought now is the time that I should really start learning meditation. So until this time, I haven't done any. So I went to my first meditation retreat with Ajahn Brahm, a 9-day one. I didn't know anything, but I knew he's a kind monk, so I thought at least I'll eat and sleep and have a good rest. That was my attitude. But anyway, it worked out well. The meditation was good. And then I realized I was always very much attached to people for my happiness. I depended on my close people for my happiness. But I can't change people, and what happened to them? When they become unhappy, I become unhappy. When they get sick, so it was very fluctuating. It wasn't stable. So there was a suffering in that. But with the meditation retreat, I realized that I could learn to develop peace and happiness from within. And that was more stable. So that was very attractive. So after the retreat, I continued, and I actually became like most of you guys that I keep seeing again and again in retreats, retreat junkie. Lucky for me, I was from in Perth, and we have this lovely center, and also many other teachers come. So of course, like cause and effect, then naturally you just incline, but I took my time slowly. And I still didn't think about becoming a nun. I was too attached to Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali, and I thought if I become a nun, I will get much more restricted my contact time with them. Because if I'm a layperson, I can always go to offer dana and have time to have a chat with them. But Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali kept on encouraging and suggesting, making little suggestions. Why don't you become a nun? Why don't you become a nun? So slowly the seed got planted, and slowly there came a point that I was quite ready and realized that there's no point into continuing in lay life, even though I had plans to just downsize and not work and live on just like investment or something. Still, being out there, you are more prone to being dragged onto things. So it seemed like it was good, and it was very fortunate. We had a nuns monastery also in WA. So that's how it was a gradual walk towards that way, and also the prodding and from Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali is how I sort of decided to become a nun. And the question also asked, did you ever have any regrets? So far, I have no regrets. I'm really very, very happy. And every time, very often, this is something that I actually reflect. I think, I feel so happy. I have no husband to worry about. I'm free of a husband suffering. I'm free of children suffering. I'm free of having to go to work every morning. I'm free of being in the traffic. I'm free of having to pay bills. I'm free of having to go shopping. I'm free of having to look after a house. And I'm free of having to have all these social engagements. It's so nice and so wonderful. And I think just being there, even if I'm just not getting any progress in my meditation or getting enlightened, still cleaning toilets and making the place available for other nuns to become enlightened, I think that's still a great place to be. So I think, okay, thank you.
This one's for Ajahn Brahm. But, okay. Dear Ajahn Brahm, in daily situations like having an exam and work schedules that have a strict time to finish things off, I usually get panicked. Sometimes I can feel my heart rate goes up, but being aware and letting it be helps me to calm down. Is there any good way to deal with this? Thank you so much for being so kind, and I appreciate that a lot. Like right now, my heart is a bit faster than usual too, because I have to talk to all these people. But yeah, I think what you said, like you said, sorry, being aware, okay, letting it be helps me to calm down. Yeah, for me, coming back to the body, even though the heart is racing and the hand is a bit shaking, coming back to the body always grounds me, because what makes me nervous is actually my thoughts about the situation, and usually my thoughts about what will happen, and I can never resolve that because it hasn't happened yet. So coming back to the body, to the sensations in a gentle way, I find that helpful for myself. Yeah. And there's no way to resolve it. Like, I could be thinking about what I'm supposed to say, and I don't know until it comes out of my mouth. So it's just much easier when we can just make it a habit to just come back and know that we're safe in this moment, and with that gentleness, and also giving ourselves confidence that whatever happens, we'll be able to face it. Even if it's I say the wrong thing or I say something silly, I'm sure I'll survive, and you are all very kind, for instance. So yeah, that's it.
Oh my goodness. If I just may add something to Venerable Analios. In my own situation, sometimes I just reflect, I'm trying to do my best. And that's all you can do. You can do your best, or trying to do your best. And with that, I would like to die one day, that I think, now that I've come across the teaching and everything else, that I'm trying to do my best. And when you have that in your mind, it makes it easier, because you cannot fulfill the expectations of everybody else around. Yeah. And as Venerable Analia said it so, then you go back into the body. We have so many other ways of dealing with it. Yeah. This is just a small add to my thing. Okay, now. How do we overcome doubt? We don't overcome it. We understand doubt is doubt. We just haven't seen the truth of it. You know? Sometimes we have all this endless discussion trying about what is Buddhism, what is not Buddhism, convincing somebody, you know. How do I know the Buddha's teaching is right? I sometimes say, try to prove the Buddha wrong. And how do we overcome doubt? What is important in our life? The Buddha didn't teach Buddhism per se. The Buddha taught universal truth. This is a very important statement. The Buddha taught universal truth. And when I ask in desperation to find the truth, in a strange way, it didn't bring me back to my strong Catholic roots. It brought me on to Buddhism. So that is a very hot potato. You can either say, well, that Buddhism really is the ultimate or the way to the highest truth, well documented, or you can say, perhaps I was a Buddhist in a previous life, yes? So again, you look, what are the essentials of Buddhism? We talk about the Noble Truth and all that, but we talk about the universal characteristics. That's the tilakkhana. The tilakhanas. And when you, even if we haven't made much progress in direct experience, if we keep in the forefront of our mind that all experiences have that in common. You know, everything is constantly changing. Macroscopically and big mountains, everything is constantly changing. And when we see that more and more, we feel the unstableness. It rattles us. We want everything in concrete boxes. We want everything predictable. But it is very much against the very nature of our existence, the very nature of nature itself, constantly changing, constantly moving. You know? So if you see that, at least in a theoretical way, you will accept life more easier. And that way you overcome doubt. You see the doubt in what? Maybe you feel that you are asked to believe blindly. The Buddha said, don't believe me, find out for yourself. So you have to have the skeleton of the Buddha's teaching, because if we feel so proud and knowing it all, which we are very much prone in our Western society, because now many of you are very accomplished professionals. And in addition, with the computer, you press a button and all the knowledge is there. So you have, in a way, it has permeated your mind. I know everything. Yes? And that permeation, that inclination, I know everything, also spills over into your spiritual endeavors. So you have the feeling, I know it all, but in a theoretical way. So on one hand, we have to have the skeleton of the Buddha's teaching. On the other hand, we have to be open to the experience. Otherwise, you create a Buddhist virtual reality, how it should be and how it is and how I understand it, and never actually come down what is the famous word, grassroots levels. So to overcome doubt, so again you see everything what the teaching which is coming across, especially from somebody so special as Ajahn Brahm, who has not only extensive studies, extensive experience, but also he has the pulse. He has the finger on the pulse of our everyday life, of what is the complexity of our everyday life. And he can, that way, the way he's teaching, he can actually help so very much, because he really sees what's going on. You know? So then again you come back to the Tilakanas and why. And then also little by little you understand cause and effect, which is the law of the universe as well. And the law of karma and all the rest. So little by little, whatever you experience is written down in the hundreds and thousands of books everywhere. And whatever is in the books, you have to confirm in your own station of life, in your own language. Then you have no more doubt, because you can see, yes, it is so, good or bad, yes, confirmation of the Buddha's teaching, confirmation of the universal truth. This would be, in a nutshell, my way of what are you doubting? What is the doubt? And then you look into it. What am I doubting? The Buddha didn't ask you to believe blindly. He's on the contrary, go out and find out for yourself. But by the same token, we are working with faulty instruments, in our mind. Because let's say 20 degrees, one day it's hot, the next day it's cold. So we know that we cannot trust our own perceptions constantly changing. So that's why you need a teacher. That's why the Buddha, sometimes people say, yes, impermanent, I knew that, I don't need the Buddha for telling me that's impermanent. If you really know impermanence, you would be on a different level. So we need the teacher to point out where and how we are looking at it, but ultimately, your own experience will free you. The Buddha's famous statement, blinded by ignorance and fettered by craving. Blinded by ignorance because we don't see clearly or not clear enough. And fettered by craving. Not only just big things, small things. We constantly want. We constantly are in movement. Needing, wanting, doing this, doing that. that is fettered by craving. So you have to see it for yourself. That is how to overcome doubt. Or you go to a good teacher, to a good friend, to a good Dhamma friend, and discuss the Dhamma. And maybe see another angle. So if people criticize you, you first of all see and look if there is a grain of truth in it. Because sometimes we perceive ourselves in a totally different way than other people are seeing you. So that's where to be humble and be open for criticism, be open for to change. Otherwise, the whole spiritual trip is not a spiritual trip if you're so sure of everything. So this is little snippet which I have to offer. So over to the next Bhikkhuni. Thank you very much.
Well, I will just read out what is written here. I would like to thank the nuns for their participation in the retreat. Your energy has been very soothing, and it's great to see diversity in the Sangha with metta. I understand that full ordination is available to nuns here in WA. Can you explain what that means and why it doesn't happen elsewhere? Or maybe I'm confused. Please clarify. Thank you. Thank you for for being happy that we are here. And yes, full ordination for nuns is here because of Ajahn Brahm. He's willing to take that step to do it. So, but also it is also available in other places, like in the Mahayana tradition, and also in Sri Lanka. There are also many bhikkhunis. Some people go to Sri Lanka to have their ordination, and they go to the Mahayana temples to have their ordination, the higher ordination. This higher ordination, well, it's very good in the sense that it increases the number of precepts that we have to keep. And having precepts, although people may say that you are restricted in so many ways, but it's very good in the sense that, well, if you really want to really practice well, you need precepts to keep you in line and to help to support the way you practice. Otherwise, people can do as they like, and what's the point of going to a monastery and becoming a nun? We have 311 precepts, which is much more than the monks. I think the monks have got 227 precepts. Maybe the female are not here. Because actually the precepts came about because nuns do things that they are not supposed to do, or go places alone by themselves, where they are not supposed to do, because it's very dangerous. At that time, nuns get raped if they travel alone. So, personally, I find no problem with the precepts. It's only sometimes that we do break the precepts, but they are only the small, unimportant, not so important precepts. That's because sometimes we forget. Like at the beginning, when I was ordained, one of the precept, the smaller precept, is not to harm plants. We cannot destroy plants. But because of habit, sometimes when we arrange flowers, we have to get some leaves to put into the vase to enhance the beauty of the arrangement. So there was a day when I was doing flower arrangement, and I saw that on that tree is a gum tree, but it has got new leaves, reddish and green, or yellowish. So it looks very nice, and I was thinking to myself, oh, that's a nice tree to for the leaves for flower arrangement. So I went, took the secateurs and cut. The moment I cut one branch, I realized, oh my goodness, I've overcome that precept. So I stopped straight away. So nowadays, even if I have to arrange some flowers, I don't bother so much about leaves. So so whatever leaves is stuck on with the flower, that's good enough. Because if you ask someone to go and cut for you, it's almost like you're cutting it yourself. We actually, when we first become a nun, we are called novice nuns. And novice nuns, we keep 10 precepts. 10 precepts includes not handling money. So not handling money is a big thing, because when you have been so used to handle money, suddenly you cannot handle money. Sometimes if you are taken out somewhere, and then you go to a shop and you are waiting for other people, but the tendency is to keep on looking at the things. Oh, this is good. Oh, that is nice, but then no money. So after some time, I really don't like to follow people to go shopping, because sometimes when I go to my son's house and they take me out to eat, and then they have to buy something, so I don't bother to look at things. What for? Can't buy anything. So, but it means a lot to me to become a bhikkhuni, because then you are considered a fully ordained bhikkhuni, fully ordained. So why not? If you want to become a nun, then you better go all the way. So yeah. So I'm, yeah, okay. So yeah, I think that's all I can explain so far. So, okay, I pass. Oh, you want to say something?
I'd just like to add that we had a Bhikkhuni ordination in Santi Forest Monastery last year in New South Wales. So why the Bhikkhuni ordination started not only because of Ajahn Brahm's and Ajahn Suchatu's endeavors, but also we had to have a Bhikkhuni preceptor, somebody who ordains us first as a Bhikkhuni. So, and that was only made possible because of their confidence that Ajahn Brahm and his Sangha here would look after the beginning of the Bhikkhuni order here in WA. Yes, because sometimes you can go and get an ordination and then nothing much else happening. So as you know, Ajahn Brahm and the monks here and the Sangha here deal with everything in a very, very responsible way. Yeah. So even when we had the Bhikkhuni ordination in the big cave at Santi Forest Monastery, done by a Bhikkhuni preceptor and all the rest of it, everything was done properly. Then the Bhikkhunis afterwards flew to WA to receive their confirmation from the monk side at Bodhinyana. That is called the double platform ordination. If you ordained only by a Bhikkhuni, that is one ordination, but if you ordained or confirmed also by the bhikkhus, that is called double platform ordination. Yeah, and also again, that also was made possible because of the extreme high standing and purity of your sangha here, because otherwise it would not have been able to not only take root but to flourish in the West. Of course, in Sri Lanka, Dambola and all the rest, there have been Bhikkhuni ordinations for some time. But the big challenge is how to start off. And as Ajahn Brahm says, we have to start somewhere. We still have a long way to go. We are, thanks to your generosity, we are given the opportunity to practice in the same way as a monk. Many years ago, many tried to do some things at Santi Forest Monastery. I went to the council for some permission and he said, "Oh, you want to ask for a favor?" I said, "I have never asked a favor in my life. I just want to be given the opportunity that we can prove ourselves." And that opportunity is because of your own, not only of Ajahn Brahm and the Sangha, but also of your generosity and goodwill. So we have now the opportunity to prove ourselves, and in time, I'm sure there will be very, very good results. So thank you again, everyone. It's not only just the money, it's not only just the food and other things. We have to learn from each other. We are in the West, but many Eastern ways of doing it have been lost over time in the West. And so we need to come back, and that's where each of your different ethnic groups contribute greatly for the flourishing and establishing of the Sangha here in the West, but also find its own unique ways. So I thank you very much again. It's very, very important that to be understood that what is happening in Perth worldwide is quite unique. Thank you very much.
Okay, this question says, "Dear Venerable Sir, why do you wear different color robes? Your lunchtime chanting is amazing." So this is to Bante Pravun.
Just want to say good evening. Dear Venerable Sir, why do you dress different color robes? Your lunch been chanting is amazing. Yes, thank you. Yes, I'm Ravan. Mean your different color. What's the different color? I think for me it's just the same color. Maybe different style wearing. For me, just look. Because why the color is different? Because I live in the like Ajahn Brahm, they call it forest tradition, so they are a bit different, but only similar. Then the color also same, not much different. But at least because the sign that the forest monk will be wear the darker than the monk who live in the city. But nowadays, sometimes they are mixed. Even the color like this, so they are going to be a forest and practice. It's nothing different. And then certain place in Thailand now there's like you go join retreat and then any color, because the Thailand they got yellow color, orange colors, and this is the main color. This color is just recently about 20 less than 20 years. Before that is so many color happened. After that is the prince of Thailand, the daughter of the king of Thailand. She decides the colors for all the monks supposed to be wear this color. This is they call the royal color. This is decided by the one of the king's Phumipon daughters, the elder daughter, not elder second elder daughter, to decide this color to let monk on the because Thailand they got two section. The monk got Thamayut and Mahanikai. This is two two sections. So now they want to wear it's the same color. Usually it's a Dhammayut is a wear this color, and the Mahanikai is a wear it's orange color. So later on they want to change to be same color. Either you are Thamayut or you are Mahanikai, but except the forest among they are a bit different. But usually it's for the color is nothing much different. This is because of we are preserve everything, the rule and the law is exactly the same. Just the color nothing different. But the way of the something like this is more easy for me to bow down to walking meditation. Everything is easy. If I wear like Ajahn Brahm is a bit difficult. So I wear this tight like this one is my LV belt. This is my LVs. I wear to tie and easily walk meditation or sitting meditation. So it's good. And then one thing I want to add that every time like people keep asking what say Theravada and the Mahayana. The one thing to say Mahayana, when you do good deeds during this life, when you pass away, you will go to the Pure Land, right? If you keep the 5 precepts, you keep the 8 precepts, you will go to the Pure Land. But for Theravada, for me, I think we don't need to pass away or die first. It's present moment also the Pure Land. When you come here, you feel like here's a Pure Land. Yes, this is the Pure Land. And then many center retreat in the world, either Go Enka, you went Go Enka, Tanang Lenang in Thailand, and the Burmese is Nitsako. So many places they built. Now you come here is for practice in the Pure Land. You are step in the Pure Land. You see, one thing is you can pay attention when you are, which is when Ajahn Brahm keep talking, explaining to you. Well, suddenly when Ajahn Brahm stop talking, a few seconds, in the gap of the few seconds, you can hear very peaceful, very quiet, which is you can hear anything like you stay almost 100 over people here, even you cannot hear the breath of the people who are next to you. This is how amazing. This is, if you don't call a Pure Land, then you call what? How amazing. If you are at home, you are at anywhere else, you are go to in hotel or function, whatever, a lot you can here. I also joined the Ajahn Brahm do the retreat conference in the hotel before in Thailand or in Malaysia. So when I in the hall, just quiet. When you walk out from the hall of the conference, of course we got many hall, not only one hall. Then the hall is got a dinner party, got other party, and then they got singing everything, beautiful Sunday right here waiting, everything song around, a lot that you can hear the different. When you come here, you ever heard any nice music? No, you never heard any like drum or whatever, something like weird only very peaceful and quiet and serenity in the mornings. Only the most you can hear also Namo Tassa, Supatipanno, Savakato, Itipiso, Savakato, Supatipanno, and Sadhu, Sadhu, Sadhu. Like that one, that's I have seen a talk, don't know, it's okay. For you talk short one, I would like to tell a story behind about the bird story. It's a story, this is happening in Thailand. The story about the bird, what type of the bird? One bird, they call one kind of bird is he can talk one. When you train them, you can talk. Like can talk, thank you, I love you, bye bye. He will say that word to you. There's one of the wealthy family in Thailand, quite wealthy, and then because they are the husband is become a high post, like generals, work in the governments, in high post, working with the royal family, and then it's a wealthy, and then they got only one son. The wife also become like got something like special from the royal family, become like sir. In English they call sir, right? But in Thailand also they call word that I don't say, so you won't understand. So she get that one. Her house is near the golf course, 3-story, very big house. In the house, and then when she reached the 60 years old, they got one person, her good friend, the schoolmate, long time ago, give her a present, like give her a bird that can talk one, well trained one. Whatever you train, she can talk. Whatever they train, they can talk. If they talk, thank you very much, I love you, bye bye, on everything they talk. Then she always like traveling. In her house got herself, husband, and the son. And one day the son went to London to study in university in London. Then she always go to one a while. When the son not around, not there, she when the holiday summer, she will go to the London or go to Paris to do some shopping, because of course a woman go anywhere, so the best thing is a shopping. Where they are shopping, go to buy like wallets, the famous one wallets, right? Like LV. Thailand, the two brand name that Thailand people don't like, for those who are very species in the believe in the sign, whatever, you know what name? One, Prada. Second, Longchamp. There's a two brand name the Thai people, those who are very sick, they don't like, Prada and the Longchamp. The Prada is why come from where? Prada is you heard the Prada, like Ajahn Brahm or Ajahn Brahm call me Pravun, right? The word pra is mean monk, man, and then the word da is scold. When you join the Prada together, monk scolding. So the superstition say they don't use that word, that not very silver. When they join the word Prada mean the monk scolding. And then the one more brand name is not so, is Longchamp. Longchamp is from France, right? Longchamp is mean second runner up. Like Ajahn Brahm talking about the cricket match between the Australian and Sri Lanka, right? Australian and Sri Lanka. The Sri Lanka win the trophy of the World Cup of the cricket, but Australia is lost. When you lost, it's your second runner up. They call Longchamp. Longchamp in Thailand is a second. You never should be champ. You never be we get up to the champ. You are wrong champ means you are number second. So when you use a handbag, you are number second. If you be a wife or second wife, or maybe like they think because superstition, if you are be a whatever, you also be a number second. You never not be a number one because of the wrong champ. Wrong champ with the word mean second. So they don't use that one. They good Gucci, Chanel, or other brand, except that two cannot sell birds. When she went to the visit her son in the London, and she went to the Paris to buy a thing. Sometimes she went 2 weeks, sometimes she went a month. And when she was 60 years old, one of a good friend giving her a bird that can speak. The bird also speak very nice every time, very nice. But When 5 years later, the bird also same. She went for to visit her son in London. Then after that, she come back 1 month. When come back, this time the bird is changed character. She won't say good mornings. They say in Thailand, good mornings. I love you. I miss you. Bye bye. But this time when she come back, the bird say, the lady boss going to die. Lady boss going to die. Like she will scold the lady. This lady see very weird. What happened to this bird? So she also like, what happened to the bird? Why suddenly like that? Might be one of the maids changed her character because she always scold the maid working in the house or what, don't know. Maybe the maid trained her, so changed the character of the bird. The bird every time scold her like that one. The first day, she feel like, never mind, no problem. When the second day, she walk past by the bird case, then the bird also same thing. Same, the lady was going to die. Lady was going to die. But the second day, she cannot stand anymore. She quickly to the temple to see the ship aboard in the temple. So because that temple, she always support the temple to do building, to do everything for the temple. She quite wealthy. Then she's give the then go and ask looking for the chipmunk. And then when she reach the temple, the chipmunk is busy with the guests. Then never mind, she wait because she cannot stand the bird that's saying she looking to die. So suddenly the guests finish, then she go and see. Then after that, they talk about other thing. Don't talk about the dead bird yet. Talk about, then the chipmunk ask, anything, what you want to come here today? Oh, I got some things want to discuss with you, because my bird usually is last time is always greeting me, good morning, I miss you, I love you, bye bye. But now this time when I come back from the overseas, the bird always say to me, lady was going to die, lady was going to die. So what the chipmunk what to do? Oh, the chipmunk thing might be one of the maids with not happy with her, train the bird to be like that. So in the same time, the chipmunk disciple of the temple got the bird, same thing. The bird in temple also got the same bird, that the bird in temple might be well training, should be good training or good. So you got Dhamma because he live in the temple. So the chipmunk give her back one of the temple bird to put together. At least he can teach that this bird don't talk roughly, don't talk rudely to the boss. That one at least can teach, because she got a Dhamma, live in the temple for so long. So might be good. Something is good for the training the bird back to be say some word is a good. So when she bring the bird back to the house, and then let the driver to put case to neck to each other. So they both the bird start talking to each other like the bird language, like we hear from here. They got language, the bird, they're talking to each other. The next day she dressed well, want to go to do the same thing, to walk past the bird cage. That one, when she walk past to the bird cage, her own bird say the same thing, lady was going to die, lady was going to die, lady was going to die. Then she wait to see what the temple bird will say. The temple's bird to say, Satu, 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 like that. Oh, she very angry, more angry than before, because the temple bird do what in the temple? He always will say word what? Satu, Satu. When she said that, then she quickly asked the driver to take the boat of the bird, then send back to the temple. Then she no more use the bird anymore. Because the temple, what you do? Namo tassa. Oh, the verse is Satu, Satu. I think the word here also that they are Satu, Satu to you. Each time then when you hear word to say Satu, they are very happy. to hear that word, then cannot use that. She send the bird back to the temple for the monk to use. From that day, then she no more rear the bird in the house anymore. So this is about the story of the bird that in Thailand. And then I hear also the bird also very enjoyable scene, like you are here for the retreats. You say this is the one of the Pure Land. You see how many people here are coming for year by year, 1 year, don't know how many, from the beginning until today. Don't know, like how thousand old people from all over the world come here with the metta to join the retreat with Ajahn Brahm and Ajahn Brahmali or other monks who do the retreat here. So this place is become a like pure land, peaceful land, serenity for you. And because maybe one day, and then when you come to do the eighth precept, to keep the eighth precept, with eighth precept, usually they say, according to the Buddha, so was saying that for those who really can keep the eighth precept for the whole life, they said you shut down the door of the hell. You are no more go to down anymore. Your life is very better and better for the future, because this is they say the precept for the king, for those who be born to be a highest purpose kings or the businessman on this one. This is the precept. It's not ordinary for not everybody can do. You see, you try to keep the eighth precept, not very easy. And then one thing is you also the way to train how to be a nun or how to be a monk. If you really can pass off this in the future, if you would like to be a monk or you would like to be a nun, this is the way that they go through. The firstly, you must keep eight precept. Like not suddenly you want to be a nun straightforward, because that she say just now 311 ask you to remember. So I think not to remember, ask you to read on the precept that were from 1 to 1 311 is too much. That a rule. This one egg only you, if you can't keep, then how about the 311? don't talk about 311. Just egg precept also difficult to keep. But if you really can keep, this is the main thing. Like 5 precept, 8 precept. If you see like no killing, no stealing, no misconduct, no telling a lie, no alcohol, no dinner after lunch, and no entertainment, no sleep in the comfortable bed, and then no handing the on the money on. This one is a thing, the eight precept that those who really can give is a good for your future. But because according to Buddha teaching say, whatever we live, whatever we have in behind, after we are gone in this world, we cannot bring along. Whatever your money, your property, your land, or whatever, how much you have, when you leave this world behind, you cannot bring along with you. The one you can bring along with you for the next life is your good deeds and your good karma and your bad karma. Then can bring forward you to the next generation. Like one of the reporter in Thailand, they call Vichayun. Last time go and ask Ajahn Chah. One sentence I always remember when I read Ajahn Chah about the book, that this Vichayun, he's not a Buddhist, but he's well known in Thailand about the TV channel reporter. One day he go and interview Ajahn Chah and ask Ajahn Chah one question. She asked Ajahn Chah, say, do you believe in the next generation? Ajahn Chah say, yes, I believe in the next generation. Then the Vichayun say, can you take me to visit next generation? Something like you don't believe, and then you ask something like that. Ajahn Chah, okay. But Ajahn Chah asked him back one sentence, say, do you believe tomorrow? Yes, I believe tomorrow, God. You bring me to visit tomorrow. Then I will take you to visit next generation. This is Ajahn Chah question. That very, but we never think that he can, the ways it can come out that way. He say, you can bring me to visit tomorrow, I can take you to visit the next generation as well. Then because tomorrow you can't do it. That is Ajahn Chah answer the question to that people, because they interview and then crew, and then when this sentence come out, it's true, no out in the TV, because they cut it. They cut out. They know they come in interview, but this one from the person who are there, listen and just tell out only. The TV is so smart. they don't cut out that. They don't bring this word. They cut the Ajahn Chah to be answer anything, but Ajahn Chah answer in this way, then everything's like it's well done. So that's all for me. My name is Pravun. They call Pravun, not Prada. Prada is Pravun. And then I would like to know, this is my second time for come and join the retreat with Ajahn Brahm. So each time also come very enjoyable and peaceful with the place and with the weather here, the environment here, human environment here. Everybody is a very friendly and nice. Thank you very much to all of you.
So we always follow our teacher Ajahn Brahm, and since he left some questions for us, we're going to leave some questions for him. It is now 9:20. I'm not sure. I think after the wonderful talk from Bante, maybe we should call it a day, or do you want to stay a little bit longer? Huh? 10 minutes more. Okay, 10 minutes more. All right. Then
Okay, this is a question for Ajahn Brahm. I don't know how well I can answer. If I don't answer well, you can write it again for tomorrow. Dear Ajahn, can you please explain what exactly is mindfulness? If you're walking, for example, is it thinking, walking? Seems a bit verbotic. Is it more on feeling the sensations of walking and seeing what's around you? Is mindfulness and satya the same thing? Does it feed back to your meditation practice, allowing you to easily observe samadhi? So, this would be my understanding. I'm still a baby nun. So, mindfulness is actually being present right here fully. This is my understanding. So, when you hear the word satipatthana, that means you're putting like your attention next to the object, kind of. That's kind of like the literal meaning from what I have studied from Bhikkhu Analayo's book. There is actually, if you want to understand a lot more about it, I can recommend a good book. There is on Satipatthana a book by Bhikkhu Analayo which explains very nicely what mindfulness is. So mindfulness is not really having any thoughts, rather attending with full awareness to what is present. So for me also, I was thinking like in one moment there are many things that can happen. Like you can be seeing, you can be hearing, you can be feeling, but your attention is always only in one thing fully, right? Even if you are really looking at something, for example, watching a football match, you're fully watching. But then if there are like something else going on around it, your attention is not there, even though you might hear a sound, but you're fully watching. So it's not about thought, it's about fully being present with the experience that is in front of you. So that is necessary for us to actually get rid of. My understanding is that we have been conditioned by a lot of things that we hear, read, since we've been born, since we are like really like few months old already. Your parents are telling this is red, this is a ball, this is this is that. So there's a lot of information. So whenever we actually look at things, we are looking at together with our thoughts. But mindfulness training is actually allowing us to stop this thinking and just being present with the experience, to actually see whether you can see more than what you have been taught. Because the whole reason why we keep going in samsara is our perceptions are perverted, in the sense that what is impermanent, we always perceive something permanent. What is really a non-self, we actually see a self who can control and do things. What things that are really suffering, we always perceive only the pleasure. So things like that, that's what in the Dhamma. But the reason is that we are so much up in our head with what we've been taught by people, that, like what I was telling, going clubbing, night clubbing is so enjoyable. Yes, there is enjoyable part, but there is also non-enjoyable part. But we never train to see if you're only in our thinking and in condition. But if you are really present there without thinking and remembering what people told you about it and really be with the experience, then you might probably learn more. So this is how we actually train, and this is why the whole path of meditation is increasing our mindfulness to actually stop thinking. One epithet for an arahant is nipapancha. So nipapancha means, papancha is proliferation. So it's our mind constantly thinking over and adding things and creating and making all these concepts, designations, all sorts of stuff that actually color our experience to, and it's always our experience is controlled by outside. It's not our real experience. Like Ajahn Brahm says, when you're watching a cricket match, if you're hearing the commentators, you're not really seeing the match what you want to see, but you're rather listening to what the commentators are saying. So it's like that with us, with most of our experiences, we already experience with our preconceived ideas and things that are thinking. So the whole path of training is to actually leave that aside, to shut up that thinking and all that conditioning as much as possible, and trying to be present without anything to really experience and learn from that. And that is how you actually change your perceptions that are turned upside down the right way up. So that is enlightenment. So what the person is saying, whether is it thinking walking, I believe it's not thinking walking, it's just being with the sensation of walking. There are many things you can do while walking. So if your mind is inclined to bodily sensations, then just pay attention on how your body is moving. Or while you're walking, the mind might want to contemplate some Dhamma or something else. So whatever it is, just being present with that object, whatever comes. So also mindfulness is actually being silent. So the mind is not thinking. Therefore, mindfulness actually helps memory. Like, have you ever had this experience where you want to remember something? It's like at the tip of your tongue, but it's not coming. The more you try to think, it doesn't come. Then you finally give up and you just become your mind becomes very expansive, very still, and suddenly what you forgot drops in your mind. That's a function of mindfulness. The mindfulness has that function of remembering and recalling. So these are things of mindfulness. So when your mind stops thinking and allow this mindfulness to function, that has many, many benefits. So it's a huge subject, and like I said, you can read the book and also ask this question again, because you probably get a lot more out from Ajahn Brahm. But this is the few bits that I would like to say in the 10 minutes that we were talking extra. Thank you.
It's 9:30 now.
I think you should answer one more question.
Okay. Okay. would like each of the nuns or any one nun to tell us why you became a nun. I'll skip that because that has been done. The second question is, I heard that one of the nuns was an accomplished pianist. How can one give up music? I'm not sure which nun it is, but I think some of the nuns are, I don't know, and maybe not us, not anyone that, but how can one give up music? I'll just give my own little experience in a short. Well, there was one day I was on the bus. I think I had been listening to Dhamma talks for, I don't know, maybe a year or something. And I was just on the bus and I had slowly, refined my musical tastes, and I thought the music I had on my iPod or whatever was good. And I don't know what happened that day, but I was listening to some songs and I was just really sad. I was really sad because it was just all the same stuff. It was just all the same stuff. Yeah, and it seemed quite meaningless. That was song kind of music. There's other kinds of music that are maybe more uplifting, or maybe even some people use that as a way of, I don't know, almost like a spiritual practice it can be. But I think a lot of these things that we try to give up, I think like some of the other venerables were speaking about, it's kind of a natural process. So as we practice, as I have practiced, just the way I see things just change. And it's not so much of putting an idea over my experience of how it should be, but it's kind of like I'm receiving this new information. I'm receiving the Dhamma, a different perspective, and I'm open to that. And as I practice, as I just become more open and practice, certain things, I experience things differently. And so a lot of the giving up or the renunciation, there's partly we do incline our minds in a certain direction, but a lot of it is something in inclining my mind in a certain direction. A lot of the changes happen naturally from within. So it's not so much of I should be a nun or I should give up music. But also, like Venerable Krunika saying, there are all experiences have many aspects. There are pleasurable aspects, and there are aspects that maybe I haven't seen yet. It might not be bad, it might not be negative, but just there's much more than much more to any experience than what my conditioning is allowing me to see. And so I don't know if that answers your question, but I'll stop here. Thank you.
What do we do now? We do the Arahant, unless anybody has a pressing important question which you didn't answer, which is important for your immediate enlightenment. So, so anyway, it was very lovely to have that interconnectedness and that just also connecting, not only just in a Dharma talk, but actually bring the human side out in all of us. And again, there were very many, you learn always, I learned so much again tonight from everyone here, from Bhante and from everyone. And I think it's important to remember, mindfulness alone is not enough. There has to be clear comprehension. And the clear comprehension is when you go back to the Buddha's teaching. Because mindfulness, we can be mindful, but we also have to understand, we have to have the clarity. Because mindfulness, you can be concentrated, as we also know, the old story, you can be, a thief is also concentrated, yes? But for us, mindfulness has to have the connection with the clear comprehension. And the clear comprehension again is the three characteristics which underlie all experience. Underlie all experience. And once again, thank you very much for being patient and forbearing yes, with all of us. And it's just lovely to learn from each other and have that friendship. You know, I can't solve really your problems. I only can point to the Buddha's teaching. You can't solve some of my problems, yes, if I have any. But we can be friends along the path, and we can exercise compassion and understanding. And if we don't have it here amongst us, how can we open our mouths and talk to other people? Yeah. So whatever we do here is just really grounding us in the true Buddha's teaching, so we can share it with other people. And again, we talk about Hinayana, Mahayana, and all the rest of it. I always suggest including what I say now is including to myself, because it's very hard to sit here and talk, because whatever I talk immediately in my mind comes out up. To what extent am I doing it? Yeah. So I just to close off, I would say, whenever you get up in the morning, yes, so make a determination, whatever I do during the day, whether you're a managing director or a toilet cleaner, whatever you do, may it benefit all sentient beings, including yourself. So then you have the right understanding. It's not like, poor you down there, I'm helping you and all the rest. We see the unity, we see the non-self behind it, and we are wishing each other well, including ourselves. So on that note, I would like to finish, and we do the Arahan, and may you all have a very beneficial night, and let go of the thinking of what we have thought, what we have said, but come down to the basics, yeah. Come down to the basics again, to why we are here, for what we are doing, to get to the direct experience, because we have many layers which prevent us from truly seeing as things really are. And let us continue in friendship and understanding and forgiveness. All of us are not perfect, but also in appreciation to the wonderful teachers and situations we have here, or you have here in Perth. So we do the Arahang, and then we finish off for tonight. Bante, would you like to lead the Arahang, please? Lead the Arahang. Arahang, not like the chanting, the chanting.
Okay, just say Arahang to the Lord Buddha. Also, before the end of the day of today, I would like to share this sentence to all of you. Just the saying of the Lord Buddha. Say, the saying is, are or is or are. When you are alone, beware of your mind. When you are in company, beware of your mouth. You talk without thinking, like you shoot without aiming. Thank you. This is a saying of the Buddha. Okay, we say Arang Sama to the Lord Buddha. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Buddhang Bhagavantang Abhivademi Sawakato Bhagavata Dhammo Dhammang Namasami Supatipanno Bhagavato Sāvaka Saṅgho Saṅghang Namami. Tonight so many sadhu, huh? Usually when Ajahn Brahm around, only 3 sadhu, but tonight got so many sadhu. So the bird also happy, the kangaroo also happy. Every day hear the word sadhu, and all living being around here. Okay, thank you and good night to everybody. So those who will continue, one thing you would like to remind you, because since we are coming here today until almost the final day already, so we have a few to join for the morning chanting. If you are Okay, then try to wake up early and to join Ajahn Brahm to see chanting. Then the bird and the kangaroo, they were happy with us. Because every day the birds wake you up, wake up in morning, 4:30, 4 o'clock, they try you to wake up early. So come to join more chanting, because we got tomorrow morning, only tomorrow one more day left. On Sunday, consider like only morning session. After that, no nothing really. So try to wake up and join the chanting with Ajahn early morning tomorrow. Everybody, thank you.